So I've been wanting to draw comics lately, a lot. It sort of is like what I've been focusing most of my time on. Obviously, getting better as an artist, but I bought this book just randomly, um, and I just kind of wanted to take a look at it because it's a artist on comic book art, and it shows. I've looked in it very briefly. A lot of it is reading, but it kind of goes through these artists' kind of way of doing things, way of making comics. And I mean, you look at those names, that's pretty amazing. It's also made by Titan Books, and Titan Books makes some awesome, awesome books. I don't know if this book is still in print, but I thought it was cool that I could kind of look at like Frank Miller's process as he draws. So let's kind of just take a look through this. We're going to have to skip a lot of pages because a lot of it's reading. But yeah. So, of course, we start out with Brian Boland, one of the most just unbelievable artists out there. Brian Boland is one of those artists that you just look at and you just are like, man, this dude draws all the time. Like, all the time. So I've not read any of this yet. I just picked this book up very recently. It's great drawing right there. I love that back muscle there in the deltoid. Very cool. So that's a Batman 400. Pretty cool. And then we see stuff like this where it's like a sketch or a rough. And then here's the final piece. How amazing that is. I don't know if that's like a rough he does before, if he light boxes it, or he's just kind of figuring it out here. There's a lot of that in here. I love looking at Brian Boland stuff because I don't have a lot of Brian Boland stuff. I have a few Judge Dredd pieces, like comics, but I don't have a lot of his stuff. So it's kind of nice to look at his process as he works through it. And now we're at J. Scott Campbell. I have no idea how old this book is. I imagine it was probably, so it's first edition 2000. So got young J. Scott Campbell there. So we have some of his process work or his studies. This is a very cool book. I like stuff like this. So you look at the thumbnails. It's so nice to see an artist work. You like to see where it starts and where it ends. You know how they get there. It also gives you confidence if you're an artist because you think that when you're working, your stuff's supposed to look like it's finished right from the beginning, and that is not the case at all. All right, Steve Dillon, R.I.P. So it's got some of his stuff from Preacher, some of his pencils from Preacher. I'm actually shocked that nobody talks about this book. I found out about this book totally randomly. And it's just cool. And I imagine there's probably a ton of information on the pages as well. I don't know if these were interviews that were done, maybe at Comic Cons or whatnot. Some Punisher stuff there. Steve Dillon did a great job on Punisher for quite a long time. Not quite a long time, but he did a lot of Punisher work. Dave Gibbons. No, I do have the Watchmen book that was put out with all like the thumbnails and uh, like all the finished pieces and comparing. So I've already seen a lot of this stuff, but it's still very cool to look at. That's so cool. I mean, those pencils look almost. I mean, is that just the inked? Yes, it's the inked version. But I mean, those pencils and the ink. I mean, it's pretty much. I mean, the pencil stage pretty much gets what everything that needs to be put in there. That's an amazing panel. I love that panel there. Got some sketches. I'm assuming it's probably character concept sketches, which is of course in the Watchmen book that was put out. I forget the name of it. It's like I forget. And then here's like a proportion drawing. It's just very cool. Doing like seven. I'm guessing 7 heads high. And comparing, I'm assuming. Not quite certain. Got some Martha Washington work there. All right, Brian Hitch. I'm not super familiar with Brian Hitch. I don't know much of his work. Oh, it's even cool. It tells you like what their first published work was. Very cool. Some more pencils, kind of getting the concepts, getting the ideas of where to go. And then so you got a rough, and then you got a tighter rough, and I'm assuming, yeah, those are more finished pencils. Man, look at that. Look at those pencils there. Very cool. Wow. Some very, very priceless stuff. Great Batman pencil there. If I drew something like that, I'd be super happy. But then if I was that good, I'd probably think to myself, man, that looks a little empty. Gotta add some more to it. But that's all really the pencil is. That's all pencil work really is. Some great concepts. Here we go, our boy Jim Lee. King of DC Comics now. So here we go. We have this sort of sketch, and then we have this final piece, and it shows you how much things change. Like, she's completely changed her position. Before she was kind of 3/4, and then he kind of made her more forward. But I mean, it's as simple as that, really. Sorry, I'm trying to show it all. Hopefully you can see it all. He's even writing down like little notes and stuff. Of course, his Punisher work. Oh, no. Deathblow. I'm sorry, it looked like Punisher. I'm stupid. Deathblow. Looks exactly like the Punisher, does it not? No, it's Deathblow. I'm sorry. Reading is very important. Then we got some Wonder Woman stuff going on there. So I'm assuming that it goes. That's the rough. And pencils and then inks. The one thing I've always noticed about Jim Lee is I feel like some of his stuff seems like very. What's the word I'm trying to think of? Like he's an amazing artist, but some of it seems like too clean. So, but his artwork does look great. Got more concepts there, or layouts. Very simple layouts. And then of course, we have that finish right there. Seems like he stayed almost true to what was on the original concepts. Dave McKean. Now, Dave McKean's an interesting one. Because I don't quite know how you're going to look at some of his sketches, but we'll see. I'm very interested. Very cool. When I think Dave McKean, I always think like Bill Sienkiewicz. I think he's like DC's version of Bill Sienkiewicz. People wrote some stuff in the book. Bought it used, so there's gonna be some writing in the book. I have no idea what any of that stuff says. Clearly, this person was a Dave McKean fan. Very cool. Look at that. Wow. Wow. Very cool stuff. What a great artist Dave McKean is. And then our boy Frank Miller, one of my favorites. So we got some Sin City stuff there. I love his roughs. I also love how like the drapery is just so good. It just flows so beautifully. Man, look at that. Look at that perspective looking down. I love looking at this kind of stuff. I don't know if these are pinups. I'm assuming. I'm not sure. I don't know if that's. Because it seems like. I don't think I've read Hell and Back. I've seen bits and pieces, I believe. But, yeah. Looks great. And, of course, we have a Batman piece there. All right, Joe Casada. Looking like he's 12 there. Love his Daredevil work. Great, great Daredevil artist. Not as good as Frank Miller, in my opinion, but pretty damn good. Pretty damn close, I would say, in some cases. I've always felt like Joe Casada was like the guy who never got noticed during that like 90s period when like Image was taking off. And then he became like the best out of that whole Image era. I mean, look at that. Imagine, look at that pencil work there. And that's the thing is like during that Image era, I think he was working at Marvel. So like I think he just kind of took over for what all those guys in Image went off. Like they just went off and people were like, "Oh, we don't care about Marvel anymore." But then Joe Quesada, I'm pretty sure I know he did that one comic about the firefighter or whatever. But he kind of became like Marvel's guy, just like Mark Bagley. Great artist. Ash is what it was called. That's what it was called. Ash. Very hard for me to say. Sometimes I feel like I have a horrible lisp. JR. Rocking the mullet. Does he still rock the mullet? I don't know. Another one of those guys that, stuck around the Marvel, just putting up stuff through Marvel when all those Image guys left. Great Spider-Man. A lot of people don't like JR. I really, really like John Romita Jr. I think he's a very unique artist, and it looks great. I think his stuff's gotten a little too. I don't know. I think it relies too much on color now, more so than like the actual penciling. That makes sense. It's just too clean. It has like that Jim Lee kind of thing where it's just like, I don't know. There's not a lot of doodling going on. It's just like you're trying to get the contours, and then you're like, yeah, that works. And then the forms, and you're like, yep. But man, his stuff is great. That dude can draw his ass off. I hope he's not the last guy in the book, because I feel like that would be a crime. Oh, Alex Ross. I'm not a huge Alex Ross fan. I don't know what it is about Alex Ross. I'm just not a huge fan of his. But it's very cool how he uses like the reference. He's like Norman Rockwell of comics, but I've never been really into that. Even though that stuff, that looks amazing. That looks unbelievable. I'm just not a big fan of it for some reason. I don't know. It looks great, but I don't know. It doesn't make me feel the way that like Miller's work makes me feel. Actually, really cool to see his layouts, his thumbnails, and then how they. I mean, his thumbnails look like some people's finished drawings. I mean, look at that. And that's the finished. Very cool. Some more reference. And then there we go. That is it. But yeah, that was like a cool book to go through. I don't know. For some reason, I'm just like, I don't know. I like looking at stuff like this because you kind of look at people's process. I haven't read any of it, so I imagine, like I said, the stuff inside of it, probably the information that's inside of it's very useful. But yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I certainly did, and yeah, I don't know if this book is still in print. I found mine online for like I think like $10 or something. So it's not that expensive. It's not like an extremely rare find. Like, oh my god, it's gonna cost you an arm and a leg. But yeah, it's just a cool book to kind of look at the process of some amazing artists. I'm not sure about the text inside. I don't know if I'm assuming it's real interviews and stuff like that. But yeah. All right. That's Artists on Comic Art. Why not?